Florida man ran his van into a tent full of Trump supporters during a voter registration drive on Saturday, nearly killing at least one person before fleeing the scene. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't hear about that? You must still watch the news because God knows it wasn't on there. People who were at the scene on Saturday said that 27-year-old Gregory Tim plowed his van into a tent housing 6 Trump supporters who were registering people to vote in the parking lot of the Kernan Village Shopping Center in Jacksonville, Florida. Now, he didn't hit anyone, thank God, but he did run over a bunch of tables and chairs and knock down all the signs, missing one person by about 6 inches before flipping everyone off and speeding away. Now, he has since been arrested and charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault on a person 65 years or older, 1 count of criminal mischief, and driving on a suspended license. Now, can you imagine if a Trump supporter had rammed his car into a tent full of Bernie supporters trying to register people to vote? No, scratch that. Can you imagine if a Trump supporter who looked like this had rammed his car into a tent full of Bernie supporters trying to register people to vote? I can see the headlines for days. Trump voter mows down peaceful socialists in an attempted voter suppression. MAGA man targets presidential opponents as Trump dumps fuel on national divide. White nationalist with Nazi haircut plows into terrified Bernie voters in Trump's America. Can you see it? CNN would have had 14 expert panels to talk about this all day long. Rachel Maddow would have gone on a spiraling 37-minute monologue. Don Lemon would be using this to call all the backwater hick Trump voters a bunch of violent inbred Nazis. Oh, but see, this was a guy driving through a crowd of Republicans just trying to sign people up to exercise their right to vote. So we don't need headlines. In fact, ABC, CBS, and NBC completely ignored this story on all their evening shows Saturday night. Come Sunday morning, only NBC's Sunday Today thought this was worth any airtime, but only about 25 seconds. Which is funny because I thought that someone making the okay hand gesture at a sporting event or in a firefighter's group photo, that was enough to spark outrage and demands for an investigation. But a dude drives his van through a tent full of Republicans, and let's all talk about who's wearing what at the Academy Awards instead. This is such a freaking joke. Trump voters have been punched and shot at for wearing MAGA hats, assaulted leaving Trump rallies, spit on, kicked, cursed at, chased out of businesses, doxxed online, had themselves and their families threatened, and been placed at the epicenter of national ridicule and now targeted by a crazy dude in a van. And yet somehow they're the ones stirring up violence and trying to suppress the vote? Really? Yeah, okay. See, the only way that you would buy that pile of lies is if you don't know about any of this. If you only read the national headlines or watch Chris Cuomo run his pie hole all day, that's the only way that you come out of any of this thinking conservatives are the ones stoking this divide and looking to beat people down in the streets. You would never know that on the same day that thousands of gun-toting Second Amendment advocates rallied in Virginia and not a single punch was thrown or a single shot fired, Antifa was verbally assaulting black Trump supporters in Seattle. You would never know that this jackhole ran his vehicle into a tent full of Republicans just trying to sign people up to vote, which I've been told is the left's most sacred of cows behind abortion. You would never know that these 6 people could have just lost their lives because they're not on the side of the political aisle that the media find worth mentioning. Because there's no possible way that these elitist snobs with their microphones will tell you the truth about who is actually stirring up violence in this country. It would smash their whole narrative to bits. So you know what? We will. And that's your Reality Check America. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page, like us on Facebook and Twitter, and stay sane out there.